And we're live. There are 2 people are watching. Get ready for the 80s Sedgwick freakout! Why did I go into the Carlton all of a sudden?
I feel so lonely night and day. I can't get your love, I must stay away. Well, I need you, girl, but I say, oh, little girl, with a lot of little light. I can't get your love, I can't get satisfaction.
You ready for it again?
Oh, I can't do another one.
It's gonna be the 80s Sedgwick freakout again. Uh-oh, uh-oh.
I know, right?
5, 6, 7, 8. QuaranTEASE Cafe. QuaranTEASE Cafe. You never know that we're gay at the QuaranTEASE Cafe.
Out of breath. Goodness.
Come over to the couch.
That was some major freakouts
Join
going on.
us. Specifically, an 80s Sedgwick freakout.
Yes, it was. Edie Sedgwick.
We will explain here in a moment what we mean by that. So hello everybody.
Hello, hello.
Welcome to QuaranTEASE Cafe, episode 17. I'm Matt Knife.
And I'm Cubby Hall.
And we're the Warner Brothers.
Our Warner sister Dot is missing right now.
Yes, she's being quarantined.
Yes, quarantined far, far away from us.
Okay.
Unfortunately.
There we go. Much, much better. Okay, so, let's see, we got, if you guys like what you see, you can Venmo us at Matt-Knife. But we also understand there's no pressure. You can just enjoy yourself, and we'll entertain you for the next hour. or 45 minutes, depending on how long things take. So we start every QuaranTEASE cafe with a calming circle. So we're going to take 3 deep breaths. So
We needed to.
we're going to do one more. And why not another one? That's very nice.
Yes.
Okay. So, ooh, we're getting a whole lot of hearts from someone.
Nice. I think that's
Are you,
Lori.
are you signed in here?
I am
so
not
we can
signed in
see?
here yet. No.
So guys,
Let us see.
the reason why we picked that song specifically is because we were going through and seeing like what we could talk about today. And it is Hugh Hefner's birthday. It is also Rudy Huxtable's birthday. What's the actress's name?
Keisha Knight Pulliam.
Yes, it is her birthday, but I just think it's cool to say Rudy Huxtable. And this is evidently Frank Lloyd Wright's death day, but specifically the person that turned my head it is Valerie Solanas' birthday. So if you guys don't know who Valerie Solanas is, I will tell you all about it. Hence why I'm wearing my Andy Warhol sweater that Cariel gave me. And I love it, but it is very hot. Mm-hmm. So I will be taking it off in a minute.
Ooh, take it off.
But someone's gonna Venmo me to take my sweater off. Sorry, or you're just gonna have to wait.
Mm-hmm. Didn't tell him that.
So Andy Warhol, as all that, if we'll have a whole episode about Andy Warhol himself, but I have a very love-hate relationship with Andy Warhol. I'm a fan of the art, but to a point. Him as a human being, not a fan. I think Valerie Solanas is a very good chapter in why I don't like Andy Warhol, and also Edie Sedgwick. So there's the movie Factory Girl, and it's all about Edie Sedgwick, and I'm sorry, Sienna Miller?
Sienna Miller.
Yeah,
yes.
plays Edie Sedgwick, does a good job. And, but there's a scene where they're at the factory, and it's when she does amphetamine for the first time, and so it shows her just, really calm sitting there, and then all of a sudden that break in the song happens, and then she's just, dancing, because she's all, speeded up. So whenever I hear that song now, I'm always like, oh, Edie Sedgwick, freak out. So we'll talk about Edie another day. But today, we're talking about Valerie Solanas. So, Valerie Solanas is the authoress of The Scum Manifesto, which was published in 1967. Valerie Solanas herself was born in New Jersey, which I thought was interesting. And she had a really bad relationship with her family. She came out as a lesbian in the 50s, so that's probably why. Her dad also, there was all kinds of molestation and crap like that, so it sounds like her family was garbage people. She was really smart. She got a degree in psychology from the University of Maryland. And then she went to Berkeley, UC Berkeley, or not UC Berkeley, she went to Berkeley, California. And sort of that was when all that hotbed of politics and stuff was happening, so she really got fueled, and then she moved to New York City and in the 60s. And so, if you don't know what the Scum Manifesto is it's essentially a manifesto breaking down that we should overthrow the government, eliminate the money system, and completely eliminate the male sex from society, because all of society's problems stem from men basically being a genetic mutation, it's the only reason why men exist are to basically, procreate, keep the species going, which, you could do without men necessarily. So, as a man, I hear her complaints, but I also, and I'm sure a lot of you will agree with me too, I just think people are fucked up, and people of all genders are fucked up. So I think for one gender to turn to another gender and say, hey, you're the reason why everything in the world sucks is sort of unfair. Because I think, patriarchy is a whole other thing. But, and I realize that they're not connected. They are connected, and they're not, and they're interchangeable. And this is, again, a whole, rabbit hole we could go down, and I'm not necessarily prepared to talk about that completely. But I just think it's an interesting meditation that men should take on, is just be like, okay, like, maybe, just like check your privilege and just try not to be a dick to women or to anybody.
That's the perfect time to do that, too.
Yeah, exactly. So, she has kind of gotten to, her relevance has kind of come back because I think, this like fourth wave feminism is really interesting. The Me Too movement has really kind of brought a lot of this stuff forward, and the fact that, her story, Warhol really, like, did exactly what, and her publisher, because her publisher pretty much, like, made her sign a contract that was like, alright, I own your story now, and I'm gonna make all the money from it. And then Warhol, she had a script for a play called Up My Ass, which I am dying to read. Because, I've seen, like, the first scene of it, because in the movie I Shot Andy Warhol, Martha Plimpton and, I always forget her name, Lily Taylor, are doing the scene, like, in a diner, and just for the people that are there, without any permission or whatever, and so it's really silly, but... so evidently she dropped it off at the factory, and she was like, I want you to produce this. And Warhol was like, oh yeah, we'll do it. And then, the script made its way into a lighting equipment box, and then wasn't discovered until the 90s. So Warhol thought he lost it, or didn't care, probably more likely was just like, oh, you're a weird person, and you're amusing for 5 minutes, and then, whatever. So she was pissed, understandably so, because this is before email and whatever, and I think she only had 2 copies, and this was one. And I understand being an artist, you have to take a risk and show it to somebody like that and be like, here, read this. Like, it's not like a painting, you just look at it and go, oh, okay, yeah, I like it, or I don't. Like a script, you have to sit down and read. So so she was understandably upset, and also, had this, like, sort of deep-seated hatred of men in general. So, all of that on top of mental illness, because she was later diagnosed with paranoid schizophrenia, which can be overcome with medication and therapy. So, obviously was not getting... back in this time, too, homosexuality was still considered a mental disease. So, this woman was clearly not being taken care of in the way she needed. So, on June 3rd, 1968... she went up to the factory and she shot Andy Warhol, and which I didn't realize they always just like, oh, she shot Andy Warhol. Well, she shot 2 people that day. She shot art critic. Why can't I talk all of a sudden? Art critic Mario Amaya, and then attempted to shoot Warhol's assistant point blank, but the gun jammed in, so fortunately so she didn't kill him, but she basically wounded him, and Warhol sort of had health problems, like, for the rest of his life, so sort of, like, I think she sort of killed him slowly. My opinion about it. And Warhol had also built up a lot of bad karma. Like, when you watch I Shot Andy Warhol, you're just like, if you watch I Shot Andy Warhol, the documentary Superstar and Factory Girl, you will hate Andy Warhol as a person after. You're just like, and also, like, I read 15 Minutes of Fame by Ultraviolet. Like, she was one of the factory stars. And she kind of she kind of had a point, too, where I think it was with Edie Sedgwick, where she was like, okay, I don't think I can hang out with these people anymore. Because, he was a vampire. Like, it really, really was. Mm-hmm. So, I thought it was really cool. American Horror Story, 3 seasons ago, the theme was cult. And there was a whole episode about Valerie Solanas. It's sort of like, and it was kind of supposing that the factory was a cult, which it kind of was. It's like, you guys have heard me talk about this before. We are a very culty country. So sometimes, a cult leader isn't necessarily religious but cultural, or just somebody that's the head of a clique. I was even reading an article today that talked about how Facebook groups, like secret groups, or just like groups about specific things, can fall into like cult mentality also. So if you guys are interested, that season of American Horror Story is a little bumpy, but that if you watched just one episode, that would be the one to watch, because it's just really, really kind of cool. So Speaking of which, so I shot Andy Warhol, starring Lily Taylor. This is one of my favorite movies. Like, I really, really, really like this movie. And I think Lily Taylor is amazing in this. Like, I don't understand why people don't use her more often.
Maybe she doesn't do more often.
Well, it was really crazy because, Candy Darling's a character in this played by Stephen Dorff, which is really cool too. Like, because Candy Darling's a really interesting character from this whole era, early transgendered person, and from Long Island. So she's just a really interesting LGBTQ hero in my mind. And I guess Valerie Solanas, to a point, she's kind of like an anti-hero. But just a really interesting time in culture. So if you guys, I have a DVD of this, so I don't know if this is available anywhere for free. But if you're at all interested in this era of time, I recommend it. Hello, Melanie, Billy Days, and John. It's nice to see y'all. John was showing me his tarot cards that he did the other day.
Nice.
They're very sexy. They're very gay male imagery,
Nice.
without being too over the top. Mm-hmm. Like without being like, or less maybe the ones that you have more where there's like spread buttholes or something. But it's not. It's tasteful. It's tasteful nudity. So, I feel like I had something else to say. What are people commenting? Or...
Nothing really. People are just logging in and watching or leaving because we're TV watching 5,
I've been
6
noticing
people, so.
it's been going like we hadn't
Yes.
it's so funny because the videos always peak like when there's music.
Yes.
And there's music and there's dancing, and then the second we sit down and start talking, people are like, okay, I'm done. And I mean, I understand. Like, it's like, it's every day and it's an hour, and, it's like if we're talking about something today you don't like. And I mean, I also understand that, like, the sort of the feminism I'm talking about, too, is also, like, triggering, and, so, I mean, and it's rightfully so. I mean, it's kind of triggering to me, too. Again, like, kind of being told that you're, like, a genetic mutation.
Yes.
Which I guess, like, we as gay people already kind of get, but then, no one likes to be gender shamed. Like, no one likes that.
No.
Like, no one likes that. So, I think what we're going to do now is, if you guys tuned in, like, 2 weeks ago, I started this Bob Ross painting. Because Cubby and I had tried acid like a couple weekends ago, and when we were sort of like at the end peak of it, we decided to watch some Bob Ross, and it was just really crazy. And I was like, oh, you know what? I should do this on camera because this would be really, really fun. Not acid, but paint. No, because Adam Shapiro got a little worried the one time when we were talking about it. He was like, are you going to do acid right now? Like, no. I mean, God love Adam. I don't even think Adam's, like, smoked a cigarette in his life, or done anything. I think, he'll have a drink or two here,
yes. But,
even, like, doesn't smoke pot, like, doesn't, like, just, it's just not for him. So I just love, it's like, oh, that's how you think this works. So I started it because, Bob Ross, like, when he paints, like, sometimes there'll be, like, 1 or 2 copies there so that, like, because you have to let things dry before you can move on to the next step. So, of course, he already had, like, the second copy ready to go, and it's, like, a 20-minute episode. So, I mean, I did take this to a point, and then I had to let it be. And then also, like, I wasn't feeling finishing this painting, so I had to kind of put it down for a few days or to a week, and then just sort of, like, now I'm in the mood to do it. So, Cubby's going to talk to you guys for a second while I get everything set up, and it'll just be a second.
Yes. Although, what I'm going to talk about, I have no idea. So, I think every content I have planned for tomorrow, so we'll get to that point later. How's everyone doing over there? I see Melanie. Aunt Melanie is watching. Hi, Terry.
Melanie Hamilton?
No, Melanie Rouse. Not Melanie Hamilton. That mealy-mouthed Melanie Hamilton. No, just kidding. And that's pretty much it. No new people. No more comments. Are you ready to go?
Cubby's learning how to fill time. So everybody forgive Cubby. So guys, I just want to remind you that I am lucky because with this quarantine, because my life has kind of not changed. Like, I mean, this is what I do, is I work from home. So I'm very fortunate that I have enough art supplies here and stuff like that to keep working. So I just want to, like, I'm selling these face peels. They're, as you can see, they're like postcard size. These are $20. Oops, sorry. I could do any color combination, emotion. I could put text in it. I guess the kind of only rule is that there's like a circle with whatever you want on it. Like, I've done one where there's a bottle of poppers. It's super cute. And do some with the little ribbons I cut away. So these are available and super fun. I did a whole like kind of pastel goth series. I love this one. Like, the camera really flattens this one out, but like this one has a lot of depth and a lot of warmth to it. Like, it feels like there's like fire in it. Mm-hmm. That's the thing that sucks about putting your art online, or just like the second you take a picture of it, it just flattens it out. So, as you can see, I have a whole stack of these, which this is like the tip of the iceberg. So these ship out really nicely. They're not, oh look, and then this one, who wants a bear hug? Aww. It's going to be up backwards for y'all, but... So there you go. I'm going to scratch my nose off camera because nobody likes to see that. It's not ladylike. But guys, I also wanted to show you this. This was the painting that I'm almost done with it. I'm really, really close, but this is the Linnea Quigley pin-up zombie in the Resurrection Cemetery. So I'm hoping to finish her tonight in conjunction with this one. But so if you didn't see the episode where I painted this, it is all gesso. Like, it was black gesso, gray gesso, and white gesso. And the background here I applied with a paper towel and just kind of scumbled it, is what they call it, and just did this. And then while it was still wet, I painted in trees. So there's like solid white trees, there's gray trees, and then there's black. So you kind of notice that it creates this nice depth. And then I went through with I think eventually I started using this and started doing the same thing here to create this depth and to create a path. And then I decided to put a nice, fiberglass clown pinata situation happening where we have a kind of scary clown beating up this other. So it was like, what was it, clown murder? Is that what I called it? Yeah. So I went through like off camera, and because I kind of roughly sketched it out on camera, and then but off camera I went back and tightened it up a bit. So what are you giggling about?
Over the easel on the camera is that picture of us where it's
oh, right here.
Yeah.
Oh.
No, I just thought it was funny.
No, this is with the ring light. This is such a great, I think Scott's butt looks so great. Sorry, Aunt Melanie, but I think Scott's butt, and you can see his little patch of fur here. This is right before Homo erectus. It was really super great. So yes, Scott, that is a wonderful, wonderful. It could have been worse. It could have been this one, which, this one's also one of my favorite pictures ever. It's, we're doing an act with Jo Boobs Weldon, who's the authoress of History of Leopard Print, and she's the head mistress of the New York School of Burlesque, and she's just a fucking awesome person. And so it's Johnny Panic and I were dressing her. She sort of ordered us around, and when we were rehearsing it, I put her bra on, and she was like, and when I was done, she just turned around and she looked at me and she goes, "What, are you not going to honk my boobs after you do that?" like I was like, okay, since I have your permission, I'm going to honk your boobs. And for the record, I love that as a, invitation thing. I was like, do you want to honk my boobs? Because it's more like, it implies it's gentle, it's not like, you're lingering there. You're just having, a brief little, hi. I don't have boobs, so I'd imagine that would be a fun thing to experience, consensually amongst friends. So, after all this dried, which, it's just so it takes 20 minutes, too long for camera, but not an instant, when you're in real life. So, and then I put a coat of acrylic medium over it that's just clear, just to seal it all up. Bob Ross. We knew a Rob Ross.
Yeah.
Bob Ross painted with oil, and that's like when this is all over. I need to sell some paintings, get some space freed up here, and I might start exploring. My sister Melissa owns like the only oil paint I've done, so I always tell her, I was like, this painting's gonna be worth a lot of money because it's seriously the only painting I've ever done in oil. So even if that changes, it'll still, and oil's fun, you get a lot of depth, but acrylic, I mean, it's just you can't go wrong with it. Like, it's archival, it dries quickly, you can water it down, you can treat it like oil, you can treat it like watercolor. The color ranges that are available are phenomenal.
Because aren't there mediums too you can add to acrylic to
yes,
make it
you can
blend and handle like oils?
Yes.
But dries much, much faster.
Yeah.
That's always the thing about oils, it takes forever to dry.
And I mean, which can be kind of the nice thing about it, but you can add retarders to oil paint or to acrylic paint to make it act more like that. So you could do whatever. So guys, what I have here is like a phthalo blue. And so you start in the corner and you sort of just work it towards the center again, because this point here is where the sun is going to be. So you just sort of pull the color down. And you even pull it down into the ground slightly. So this is kind of like, it's like you're almost glazing. Like, he was like, you don't need a lot of paint. And he's totally right. Like, I've done one dollop, and look at all this that I got from there. So, you're just going to paint some happy trees. No happy nipples in this painting. See, Bob Ross had the happy trees, I have the happy nipples. I should do a male nude. Because I could set it up so that I added a little water on this side just because I think it's going to help me. Just like, because look at that. Like right here, it's a little too thick. So the water, thins it down a bit, but also makes it run slightly. But, the point is that you want there to be variation, and you want it to be variegated. So that's like those intense whites that you put down, like, will really pop. The grays will go where they need to go. And again, because this is acrylic versus,
Yes, I
oil.
love how that blue washes over that white there in that corner you were just in. There's certainly get that white still comes through, but still knocked down from the blue.
And again,
nice.
you bring it down. We'll avoid, and we'll bring it into our... I realize that our sad tree here is gonna... Or our happy tree. Because this tree is looking down at the axe murder like, yeah, I want some candy. It's technically not a murder. I mean, it's one of those, like, when I get it together, you're gonna see it more, because it, it's not as violent as it comes across. So I'm just gonna go through here and kind of just with some water and just sort of pull this shit out just a touch. Yeah, there we go. And I can already tell now that it's drying, like, it's starting to really, like, you can see it in the camera right here a little bit better, and, like, on this side a little better. And I'll add just a little water here, just so we can bring this little tree back. Alright, that drip, it doesn't matter, because with the acrylic medium, it just,
rubs right off.
It just
basically
rubs right
plastic.
off. Well, and then also the beautiful thing about it too is that you are painting over it.
Yes. Did you put a clear coat over that gesso?
Yes, that's what I said. It was an acrylic, just the acrylic medium.
That's
okay,
right.
so then the next thing is you're going to take some alizarin crimson, which I always felt like sounded like a villain in Harry Potter. Alizarin. It's Leviosa, not Leviosa. So then I'm going to take this brush and I'm going to try to make peace with it. Because Bob Ross, this is pretty much exclusively what he uses for this painting, with the exception of the details later. But this is just some red. And you're just gonna... Oh, just need to bring this up just a bit so I can get to that edge. And so you're just... Oh, I have to mix this just a little further. Sorry, I got a little ahead of myself. So it's alizarin crimson and sap green. Does that help?
I mean, no idea what it's about. Maybe it's so that they can cut all the background away or whatever.
I mean, I just see all the pretentious, like, over-eager...
influencers.
Yeah, that's like, I'm using a MAC cosmetic, blah, 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 blah. And I'm just like... I mean, I've seen some people do it and not look so douchey, but, some people do. So, not here to judge. So, I guess maybe a little bit. So, you're getting kind of like a brown green from this, sap green. And so I'll just go over that. See again, you can see the blue here, it's fine. And, I'm not going to go over the clowns because I'll do that with something else. So this is giving me like a nice brown for the... Because you see a lot of earth.
You're still not using that Bob Ross big brush.
Oh, I'm not, right? Way to call me out, Cubby.
No, but it's a good brush for doing washes, though. You can put a lot more on there, and
I'm gonna do it.
Cheap brush too.
Yeah,
so.
I'm gonna do it for real.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna get the red off of it. That was partially why I did it, is because it was just too much red. So now that I'm moving on to the green. Ooh, and I'm getting water all over the floor. So I'm gonna do some more sap green. Oh, you know what I'm going to do first? Because this is even more exciting. I'm going to throw some yellow in here. I got Cubby at my feet here. Cubby's just cleaning up the mess on the floor. He's just cleaning it up. So you can bring this yellow up in here. And see, with that blue, it starts to, you pick up those highlights, and that blue becomes green, but then you still get the, the luminosity.
And gorgeosity.
So then, you just sort of continue. And you can bring that up for as much or as little as you want. And then I'm going to take the sap green. And I'm going to load up my brush again. And then just sort of hit all the places that I want it to be more green. And as you can see, I still have some of the yellow on this. So again, it's like not super precious. Like, it's part of, the randomness and the chaos of it is kind of part of the beauty. Because in a way, this painting didn't have a lot of detail up until this point. A lot of it was just brush strokes doing the brush doing the work for you, which is why he wants you to use one of the big ones. But, again, for those of us who do art because we want to feel like we're in control of something, No, I really do go back and forth. I do a lot of like really chaotic paintings and stuff like that, but I guess I feel maybe a touch more secure being in control because people are watching. So then back here, just touching up a little, throwing just a little green back here, just so that, you know, the eye fills in the rest. That's like what Bob was like. It was like, the eye gets the rest of it. Nice. So then, originally I thought this was going to be night, because this kind of like screams nighttime to me. But then he did this really, really cool effect, which I do think is going to add a little drama to the scene, because it's already pretty dramatic. But I just think that he was like, this just will dazzle all of your friends, and blah, blah, blah. Hi, Brian Ferrari. It's nice to see you. Brian, a patron of mine, has some of my pieces hanging in his house. There's a couple of my pieces. So that means Brian has good taste. So you're going to take some white. And this is where we're losing, like, this is where we're going to lose the drama of this face here, but then I'm going to pick a different tree or something. Like, you know, I mean, I'm going to talk about details here in a minute, but, you know, just to do this, we're unfortunately losing our super happy tree. So we're sort of deciding that that's where the sun is. But the sun is sort of pure, you know, it's sort of cutting through, like, Bob Ross was talking about, even he didn't know the exact words of it, but just like the optics of your eye. And so you just sort of soft focus it out. And then just blend, 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 and destroy. So then you also want to decide that there is just like a tiny like shocks of light that are coming out. So let's do one here. And then this is where it is a little tricky, because like it becomes like you don't want to like load up your brush and then try to do that, because you're just going to put a big dart. So you can go over here to your side, which I guess this might be, and then you could just like do a test just to see how like it's working. Because so many times, like one of my mentors, Marianne Zotto, used to say that. She's like, sometimes you wish that you could take back your second stroke. Your first stroke is fine, but sometimes it's that second one that like ruins it. So look at that, like look at that drama. So like then, you know, why don't we do one sort of, like you can see where the branches are. So let's do another one sort of out this way. So it's sort of the equivalent of the lens flare,
yes,
you know, like
yes.
it's sort of like you're putting a lens flare in this, which, you know, sometimes in film gets a little overdone. So again, it's like it's kind of subtle, like, you know, you have to know when to stop, you know, and unfortunately, you know, you have to. I always find 3 is a good number, and I have like 3 really strong ones, so I think I'm going to leave it there for this effect. But then, like, I guess you could kind of see if you get just a skosh closer here, that it does kind of have this like atmospheric effect to it. So then, now at this point, because, you know, my mom was watching, oh, she's watching now, what is mom saying? So, you know, mom was a little bit like, she's like, of course only you is going to put like a murder in this like very calm calm scene. But Bob Ross actually said at this point, he was like, oh, now if you want to put whatever you want to put in it, you can. So it's like, I'm going to paint some daffodils around here because I kind of already made a little like daffodil thing because I want it to look like super, like, because again, it's about telling a story. So if you make the background like super funny, like fun and appealing and pretty, and then you have this like sort of horrible thing happening, it's just really fun. So at this point, you can go back here and sort of like, just make little tiny subtle hints at, maybe there's a woodland creature watching, or, it was like Bob Ross is like, if you're going to put a squirrel, like now's a good time to put your little squirrel in. So, so at this point, I'm going to go through, off camera and, just finish up Clown Murder, finish up, like I want to put some faces on these trees, just so that the trees are sort of like, are conscious of just what's happening around them. Maybe have a couple of pearl clutching daffodils, and who knows what else. So I'm gonna give myself a time limit. I'm probably gonna work on this for another 2 hours, and then I'm gonna call it soup. So and then I will post it online, and then we can all point and laugh at my work, which is always fun. And that's that. So you all, we're going to go back to the couch and join Cubby. So Cubby, why don't you grab the thing? I'm going to throw this in the fridge so it doesn't...
Well, hello. Hello. Okay. Oh, sorry. Matt comes over. I was just about to pop this down. Actually, I don't think we need to, do we? Do we need to drop this
No,
down?
I don't even think I raised it. What did Mom say?
She's saying how nice it is to visit with us.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Mom, sorry, you called early. She's called me twice, and both times you called was when I was napping, and I was just like, oh my God, I can't. Like, just like... I mean, my mom and I are trying really hard to talk more often, but not for like 4 hours, because like you sit my mom and I in a room together, and I mean we will talk and talk and talk and talk and talk, which I love. Like, because I mean my mom is like one of my favorite people to talk to, but it's just really funny because I'm like, yes, like, it might be better to talk for 20 minutes like every day as opposed to like waiting 2 weeks and then talking for 4 hours. So, Mom, yes, you have been calling me, and I'm also, talking to you now. So, how's everybody else doing? We have 4 people here. We've had some people
I think that's pretty
through.
much it. I think people have just kind of come in and popped in, and that was it. Not many people have said anything. I'm not even sure who's still with us at this point.
Oh, John said hi. John, I don't know if John's still watching. Kim Hansen was watching too. I don't know if Kim Hansen's still... Kim Hansen's a really amazing photographer. Kind of responsible for me really stepping into my erotic art space. Was very encouraging because Kim does a lot of like... I think he worked for Honcho for a while. It's a gay porn magazine. And we were doing an erotic art fair together when I first moved here, and like Kim had just like stacks and stacks and stacks of awesome paintings. And then Brian Slater, the porn star, came over, and it was the first porn star I'd ever met. So I mean, he sat down and I practically grilled him. Like I was just like, "Tell me all about this," like blah 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 blah. So yeah, so Kim Hansen's responsible for Matt Knife to an extent. So he encouraged me. And I've modeled for him too recently. I haven't seen the pictures yet. I'm still looking forward to it. But yeah, it was my almost knocked over the my first non-school photographic nude series for somebody else. Like never posed for anybody that wasn't a student up until that point. So, and because I had seen his work and I knew he had a beautiful body of work, I was like, yes, I will pose nude for you. And it was a lot of fun because I really like Kim. Actually, that purple sparkle fabric that was up, Kim gave me that visit. Yeah, he was like, do you want this? It's like, I know, like, you're in the House of Famous and pink's your color, so you're welcome to have it. And I was like, yeah, I'll take it. I thought I'd make a dress for Bob out of it, but it is kind of like, it's good background fabric, and it would be good, like, you would have to align it with something to wear it because it's like cheese graters because it's that sequence. So I mean, it would work, but it's just one of those like for now it's working great. It's serving its purpose because we're using it tomorrow. So everybody, hello Harold, how are you? So guys, tomorrow is Marie Antoinette Day. So if you have not seen the Sofia Coppola Marie Antoinette. It is available on Amazon. Not Prime, you would have to rent it, but I'm sure it's not that bad. We actually watched the Norma Shearer.
Yes,
Marie
Antoinette from 1938.
From the 30s. Earlier today, and that was $2 to rent on Amazon. I mean, it's like Gone with the Wind. It's like 3 hours.
I think so.
Like 2.5 hours. Yeah. But it goes by pretty quickly, and we're going to compare and contrast them, and like actually talk about the history too, and like things that we liked, and mostly things that we liked, because I mean honestly I like both of the movies a lot. So we will be dressing up. And we will be having a lot of fun, and because it's Friday, and we'll be I always like Friday. Fridays are fun. So tell your friends, because it would be nice to have a lot of viewers and a lot of people seeing what's happening, because we will be putting a lot of work into it. So that's pretty much all I had for today. I don't know if you all are wanting to ask any questions or talk about anything or hear our thoughts on stuff or whatever. What do you want? What do you want to know?
I don't know. Well, Kyle Motzinger apparently is on. He just sent a love.
Hello, the Lady Motzinger. Oh.
How did your recording go today? I know he was recording a song.
If you guys want to support an artist that does our show often and is a good man and is a sexy redhead, because, we have an affinity for redheads. Kyle, if you want to post your links to the comment section here. Kyle has a very nice voice, and he is an amazing performer. So, he'll be posting what he's working on today. So if you want to do, if you want to put your iTunes link or whatever here, so people can do that.
Yes, these comments will be up on Facebook well after we're done live here.
Yeah,
but we will be posting to YouTube, but there's no commenting there, so do it on Facebook.
Yeah, we just don't have the mental health capacity to put comments on. Like, it's one thing, like we've talked about this before. It's like, us doing this live feed is like, it's like for friends and family, because it's like limited to the amount of Facebook friends I have. But it's another thing when you put it on YouTube and you make it public, and then the whole world can see it, and then suddenly it's like, okay, I don't really want to sift through all the comments of like how I'm a faggot, or I don't know how to paint, or some troll is going to be like, oh well, you shouldn't be using alizarin crimson for that, you should be using blah 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 blah. And I'm just like, all right, dude, like, you know what, there's your own live feed, you could just do this, you could do your own thing.
Yeah.
So it's like RuPaul always says, it's like, never read the comment section unless your life coach or your therapist is nearby. And I don't have a life coach, but I do have a therapist, and I think that would bore him greatly. I think we'd get through the first 2 comments, and he would just be like, Matt, just disable the comments, like just. And so that's what I did.
Yeah, I mean, even reading comments, even if it's not about you, even like comments on someone's news or joke or whatever, it's like, you can't read them all. Then you get into arguments and you're like, oh, stop.
None of us have time for that.
No.
None of us. And, I mean, everything just like devolves really, because you don't have tone of voice. And I mean, people can have the capacity of being rude in person, like, don't get me wrong. But I don't know, there's just there's like next level, bullshit, like to it, that, again, it's like, why do I care what some like 12-year-old with a YouTube account that's watching my show, what do I care what he thinks? Like, I mean, but it's weird because like when you're an artist, like you kind of have to care a little bit, because like, you are here for the public and to entertain and to do, so you have to kind of like, it's a weird balance of listening but then not listening. So
well, and sometimes those comments are innocuous too. What was it, 10 years ago we had a party, posted a picture from it, and then 2 people are carrying out a long, engaging flirtation in the comment section. And Matt finally said, it's like, guys, you're blowing up my phone. Take your flirtation somewhere else.
Yeah,
you don't still need that.
Yeah, so. Eventually I was just like, you guys can flirt, but that's what private messages are for. Like, I mean, if you want to send me screen caps later with both of your consent, that's fine. Well, this is pre-screen caps.
Pre-screen
but
caps.
Yeah.
Well, You could always do it, but it was before they were a thing. It uses receipts, so...
Well, Kyle, you can tell that lady that you have balls and that there's a whole line of people that can testify to that. So she could go grow some balls. Like, she could just grow some balls. Mm-hmm. And I would say the Lady Motzinger is a good example of, like, because Kyle, we were talking about Valerie Solanas earlier today because it's her birthday. And so we were talking about the Scum Manifesto and essentially how, like, you know, it's all about, like, getting rid of government, getting rid of money, and then like, getting rid of men, like, period. Because men are pretty useless and basically the cause of all of humanity's problems. And I was like, you know, I mean, I don't look at Cubby and go, that's the source of everything wrong with the world. Like, I actually think it's the opposite. Like, where, you know, and I mean, also, I would look at myself and feel that way. Like, I mean, I certainly feel like I have potential to contribute to these things, but I also feel like, for the most part, I don't. And I'm trying to be aware of that. And I look at Kyle, and I don't feel that either. Like, I'm like, okay, there's a man who I admire, is a man, and is in command of his masculinity, but also is using it to be creative. So, there you go. And you know what, Lori, your husband's a good man. Your son's a good man. So, like, I mean, again, my nephew is a good man. My sister's husband's a good man. Both of my sister's husbands. So, you know, I mean, it's like, there's a lot of us out there. And, you know, I want to rally those guys and be like, you know what, you're awesome, and we can help. And because it's going to take us to help. You know what I mean? Just delete all the haters. Yes, Lori, you are so right.
Exactly.
You are so right. But yeah, so I hope that just filled your bucket, Lady Motzinger. And I just love calling you the Lady Motzinger. I love that your last name is Motzinger, though, and you are a singer. I just think that's kind of... Do you know what it means, Kyle? Like, does it mean something? Like it's like some medieval, like, English, like, the lady who plays the lute in court.
Well, yeah, because I think singer is one of those words that it's like, it's slight variations over time, but overall singer meant singer. Mott, though, that's a question there. I'm not sure what that would be.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, Mom. Like, I've actually thought, you've said that to me before. Because I remember my mom kind of talked me out of my own man-hating. Because, like, when I was a kid, I had all girlfriends, my dad wasn't around a whole lot, so I didn't have a whole lot of men that I hung out with or related to at all. So, I mean, I was gushing about my grandparents. I mean, I did have good grandpas. But yeah, my mom was just, I was like, I hate being a man, and men are awful, and blah, blah, blah. My mom was like, you know, like, if the world was run by women, we'd have different problems, but it wouldn't be perfect. And, I mean, as we said, assholes come in all colors and genders and, you know, flavors, as they say. So, you know, being an asshole is just a human thing. Like, I mean, it really is. Because, I mean, I know beautiful people of all genders and, you know, flavors. And then, you know, I know some pretty deplorable people. So, you know, I always get uncomfortable when people start blaming everything on specific types of people. And I mean, obviously that's how fascism starts. And, you know, so it's interesting because, like, you know, Valerie Solanas, through one side of her mouth, was like, destroy the patriarchy, but then is also sort of using the tools of patriarchy to, like, you know, because, like, the tools of patriarchy is othering. Like, so if you're going to other somebody and be like, all right, it's all this specific groups of people's fault, then there you go. So again, and I know, a super dense topic, everything I could be saying, it might be problematic and make me a garbage person, but you know what, we can talk about it later, if you want. So, my mom even says being an asshole has a place. Yes, she's right. It does, because sometimes you have to, I prefer being a bitch. At that point, that's when, like, that empowering, like, it's like, okay, I'm gonna, like, sometimes you just have to be a bitch. Like, you have to turn around and be like, no, sorry, not gonna do that. No, Mr. Copperfield, you are not gonna Copperfield here. I don't know. How do you feel about it, Cubby?
I'm just like, don't be an asshole. That's really what it is. It's like, you have no more power over somebody than they do over you. Even if you have a position of authority. Authority does not necessarily mean power. Mm-hmm. At least how I interpret it too, you know. It's like, Yeah, and I've always been saying, too, it's like, for people that want the tables turned, it's like, tables turned means you get the same shit. You know, it's like, if you were...
You just change the face of the players. You just
change the faces. It's like, the whole thing is just like, go to a different table.
Yeah, and that's not, in my opinion, that's not equality.
No.
Like, that's not what equality looks like. That's not what...
You stepped on us for 4 years. I'm going to step on you
so
for
now,
4
I was
years,
like, well, then,
you know?
no. Like, that's, like, isn't the goal to... So no one gets stepped on?
Exactly.
Like, isn't that the goal? And
Yeah.
so, like, that's where I'm like, that's matriarchy right there. Is like, it's like, why don't we solve this through, like, diplomacy and nurturing? Like, you know? I mean, it is what it is. Ew, Marissa likes your Madonna t-shirt.
Nice.
Our conversation moved a little bit more serious because you were talking about Valerie Solanas. But, hi, Joe. It's nice to see you. Joe, I was painting earlier. I've been trying to convince Joe to... Well, Joe wants to model for me, but then all this... Like, the winter happened and then quarantine. So, Joe, excuse me. I had my ginger beer. I'm still very interested, and I was thinking about you the other day. So, Joe runs the door at Rock Bar periodically and does some, bar backing and those kind of things. So Joe's very handsome and very nice guy. So, hey, Mr. Bollywood Ken. So, guys, we have 5 minutes. So, it's some people just got here. So, Marissa, give us a topic to talk about, like a not serious one, and or Bollywood Ken, give us one, because you're a Bollywood Ken is another man I look at and I don't go, you know. That's a nice, like, example of masculinity and beauty and grace. So, I should strip. No, someone's got to Venmo me, not get stripped. I actually was thinking I should fan dance soon, because I haven't done that in a long time. And not that, because, I mean, here we have to keep it somewhat family-friendly, like, because otherwise it just gets, like, you know, I mean, all the music gets muted once I post this, and... Linnea Quigley's song didn't get muted, though. I was like,
really?
Yes, this is why it's awesome to,
it's
like,
a great
obscure
song, though,
stuff sometimes, but,
yes.
you know, it is what it is. Ken, we were talking about Valerie Solanas earlier, because it is her birthday, so we were talking about just, like, man-hating in general, so I was talking about the specific men that are watching this video and how I think that they are good examples of, you know... Well, alright, so Bollywood Ken is like, family friendly, ? Ew. And I'm like, well, you know, my mom's watching, which you know my mom, they've met each other. And, this ain't no Applebee's. My sisters watch, and I think my niece, my, like, 10-year-old niece watches sometimes, so there's a certain level of keeping it, like, you know... I'm lucky I have very smart nieces and nephews, like very, very smart nieces and nephews, and I think they could handle this, but it was just cute, because like at one point my sister sent me a text and she was like, Natalie wants to know why you call Uncle Scott Cubby. And I was like, well, because it's his nickname. But then I was also, my first reaction was, he's a bear. And then it's like, alright, how do you explain that to a 10-year-old? I mean, I kind of feel like it's pretty self-explanatory, because, I mean, like, you know, you describe someone as a teddy bear, like, you know, it's like, oh, yeah, he's cuddly, and he's hairy, and he's cute. But, you know, going into the whole gay woodland creature hierarchy is pretty, I don't think she needs to know that just now. My 17-year-old nephew is a different story, like, because I think he would get it.
You can handle it on.
Okay, Mom says bring it on. She can take it. Well, I know she can, so hence why
She's hung out with all of our friends, so there you go.
QuaranTEASE Cafe, the after dark edition. Well, that'll be the OnlyFans, because that will be like, okay, instead of suggesting Venmo tips, we'll be like, no, you just have to pay for this up front. You just have to pay, because people don't. People don't otherwise. But it's fine. So, guys, as we said yesterday, tomorrow is going to be a little bit more lighthearted day. I mean, we'll probably talk about class and history and things like that, because the French Revolution brings that stuff up. But it's Marie Antoinette Day. We'll be discussing the Sofia Coppola movie, the Norma Shearer movie from the 30s, and just the woman in general, and that point in history, and sort of how it's sort of not dissimilar to where we are. We will be dressing up, and we'll be dancing and eating pastries and drinking champagne. It'll be super fun. So if you have some champagne and some pastries at your house, or some cake or whatever, you know, if you want... Yeah, I was like, come join us at 8 o'clock again, and we'll figure it out. You all were replying. Oh, so Kyle and Bollywood Ken are flirting on. Oh, it's so funny because I don't think either one of them was a part of that conversation earlier. Hey, sluts! They'll be video chatting with each other later. I would love to be a fly on the wall, like on Facebook, and just like I would just love to see what people were doing with their video chats, because you know there's some spicy stuff there.
Spicy papitas.
Okay, Marissa loves my tattoo. Okay, all right, yes, I can talk about that super quick. Let me grab a photograph because then it makes it make more sense. I'll be 2 seconds.
Okay, 2 seconds. 2 seconds.
Cubby, are you gonna fill time?
Yeah, sure. I'll fill time. Time.
It's a good thing he's cute, right? Okay, so I am originally from Cincinnati, Ohio, and there is an amazing Art Deco train station there. And this building makes me weak in the knees. Like, I mean, ever since I was a kid. It's also the Hall of Justice, like if you're a comic book fan, that was based on this. And it's funny because no one really talks about this building too much. Like, if you look at a lot of, like, Art Deco books, like the one that's behind me right there, like, it actually says that this building was torn down, which they almost did in the 80s. But luckily, in the 90s, the city decided to turn it into the Cincinnati Museum Center. So this side is the Natural History Museum. This side is the Cincinnati History Museum. There's a children's museum at the bottom. And then the back of this building is domed. And so it's an IMAX theater. And there are only 2 domed ones, at least when I heard last. There's one in D.C. and then this one. So the rest of them are usually flat in this one. So I've seen a lot of really cool stuff there, and it's just really cool. And I have family history here because when World War II was over, the troops came back via train. And so my great uncle and my grandfather were stationed together, if I'm not mistaken, Mom. And so my grandmother went to go pick up him and to pick up my grandfather because, I mean, they had known each other since they were young, like super young. So my grandma was actually there and she showed me the specific place. She's like, okay, I saw him walk down those steps. And, I mean, he was like as yellow as your shirt because he had malaria, and the medicine was that they gave you turned your skin yellow. So, it's just, I just think that's kind of cool. Because, like, she was like, you know, I think at that point she was, you know, I think she had pretty much decided she was going to marry my grandpa at that point. Like, and she was sort of like, oh, great, he's going to die. Like, he's back and he's going to die. Thankfully, my grandpa didn't die. So, so you can see right here, there is a relief of Mercury, or Hermes, the messenger god. And since I am a Gemini, I figured that in Gemini rules Mercury. So I got him, and then I've got her on the other side, and she's not done yet. So I need to... My tattoo artist is really good, but he's super expensive and slow. And that's not a read. I mean, it is a little bit. But, I mean, he ain't cheap. So, and also, like, you know, just like I'm not a wealthy person. So if some patron wants to pay for the rest of my tattoo, we can discuss probably about how much that would cost. But it's money I don't have right now. So it's there enough. But we're going to, you know, it's kind of questionable because the architectural reliefs say that it is communication. And I was like, but what deity is that? I mean, that's pretty much, that's Hermes. Mm-hmm. So I thought it was Iris, the rainbow goddess, because that would make sense, that she was like the female messenger of the gods. And, but then my tattoo artist pointed out, I was like, well, she's got the earth here. So why doesn't it just be, it'll just make it Gaia. So in my mind, I just sort of feel like it's just goddess in general. Like it doesn't have to be a specific, But in witchcraft, the right side of the body is masculine, the left side is female. So I put them specifically, even though like if I'm facing the building, it makes sense. But if I turn the right way of the building, it doesn't. But whatever. So, but I like it. Yeah, I mean, if anybody goes to Cincinnati, I always tell them just, like, even if you don't go into the museum, like, just go, park your car, look at the building, look at the fountain, go in, see the rotunda, like, you know, and just, like, I mean, it really seriously, like, makes my knees shake.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, the only other building I've been in that has really been able to do it like that was the Vatican, and Radio City. Like, Cubby will tell you, we went to see, what was it, Cirque du Soleil.
Yeah.
And we had free tickets because we had worked on it, I think.
No,
And-
I had done windows for them. Our department had done windows for them at Bloomingdale's.
Hi,
And
Crystal
so they
Swarovski.
gave
I
us,
haven't seen you in a minute.
Gave us some free tickets, so Matt and I went, and that was the first time we went to Radio City. I think the only time too.
No, Marissa, thank you. That was
Yeah.
a good time filler. That was a good story. It wasn't a time filler story. Sorry,
And so it was all very Art Deco and done in the Chinese Art Deco style, if I remember correctly. Whereas the Union Terminal was done in more of the I don't know what style of Art Deco you would put it in, but they had a lot of mosaic tiles inside. They've got some like antique fixtures in there. They even got this ice cream parlor in there that was this, you know, antique. I think it was just a lunch counter. I don't think it was always
Rookwood.
a nice-
Rookwood tiles.
Yes,
Is that what
yeah.
it is, Mom? I mean, because I know Mom knows because she had some of that.
Yeah.
Like,
And also the building was the inspiration for the Hall of Justice.
yeah. No, I said that already.
Oh, okay.
But like, going back to Radio City though, like I remember we were in the lobby and there's like this giant sweeping staircase. And we went up the staircase, and of course they have like the spotlights inside that are very deco, and they're going back and forth like this. And at one point we were going down the steps, and I had to grab onto him. I was like, I need your help because this, like, I am overwhelmed with how beautiful this building is. Like, I mean, I don't even feel like I'm alive. Like, I feel like I'm dreaming or, you know, in some kind of liminal space. But yeah, it's really, really beautiful. Hi, Kim Lee. Yes, Mom said yes, it's Rookwood tiles. Oh, Kim Lee, Homo erectus was supposed to be this Saturday.
No, we've missed you twice now.
I'm trying not to think about it too much, but yes, Rookwood pottery tiles. Harold, Google search Cincinnati Museum Center Rookwood, and I'm sure it'll pop up, or ice cream parlor. It'll pop up. It's gorgeous, this room. Like, I sit in this room all the time and I just stare at the hinges in the doors because this is back when they built things to last. So there's like, I mean, these giant like Art Deco stainless steel doors that are just gorgeous. There's like, I mean, it's just, the building does not get the, Cincinnati begrudgingly appreciates it. Like, and it, like, because I want to say, I think it was maybe like 5 or 6 years ago, like Music Hall and the Cincinnati Museum Center needed a new levee. And in the 90s, they pretty much said, they were like, please, 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 like, give us more money. We're going to renovate this museum, and we're never, never, never going to ask you for money again, which they should have never said. But, I mean, I'm like, okay, Cincinnati, what else do you have? Like, what else do you have to attract tourists? You have the zoo, you have the museum center, you have the music hall, you do have a good food scene, your downtown scene has improved a ton, your nightlife is still, and I mean, you have the Bengals and the Reds, which, I mean, I don't give a shit about, but I know other people do. So, I'm like, and it's also been 30 years, like 20 years, like since this, like, I mean, did you really think that you weren't going to have to like pay to fix this building up? Like, I mean, that you're making money off of. And I mean, I will admit it's been 20 years since they've updated some of their exhibits. So there are some exhibits that like need upgrading, and oh my god, if I had money, like, that's one of those things I would give this museum money just to see that the building itself was like taken care of. It's evidently super haunted too. My friend Shannon, we knew this lady named Debbie, and her husband used to work there, and he said that there was one point where he was like, this is before they turned it into the museum, he was in the place where all the trains used to pull up, and he heard this radio, and he was like looking around, and he was like following the music, and he found the radio, and the radio was not plugged in. Ooh, Patrick David Wall is watching.
Ooh, spooky.
So there's that. So guys, all right, wow, we're really well. It's not like we have a time limit, but there's your ghost story for the duration. So guys, as we said, tomorrow at 8:00 Eastern Daylight Time, because I've been saying standard, and Cubby finally explained what the difference was to me yesterday. So I learned something
I always
new.
would have thought it was standard too, but you asked,
Yeah.
what's EDT? And
Yeah,
I'm
because
like,
I saw everybody else is putting EDT on their stuff, and I was like, I thought it was EST.
maybe we just
Eastern
call it
Standard
American time, and
Yeah,
there you go.
Eastern Standard Time. Yeah,
Yeah.
EST. So yeah, I was like, oh, they are renovating the new floor. New restaurant opened. All the metals restored. Okay, good.
Nice.
Okay, good. All the
Yeah.
murals are restored. Yeah, because they have these gorgeous murals, like these like mosaic murals. I mean, guys, like even if you're just driving through Cincinnati, like it's right there, like off of 75. I mean, literally, the Ezra Charles state exit pulls you right up in front of it. I mean, you can go take a selfie in front of half hour. I mean, if you're going to go to the actual museum, which I would encourage you to do, because they do have good exhibits that come through. I saw the Princess Di exhibit, the Egypt exhibit. Oh God, what else? Like, we could go on and on. There was a
the
Pompeii.
bodies exhibit.
The bodies exhibit. Yeah, we went with Mama Nora. That was really cool. But I do have to admit, by the end of it, like, because like Mom and Nora were taking more of their time through it, whereas Cubby and I kind of blew through it. And I looked at him at the end of it, and it was like, I am kind of craving beef jerky now.
Because it was kind of one thing of beef
Yeah,
jerky.
because it did kind of like, well, I mean, at this point we were eating a lot of beef jerky, like, and I mean, I was making a lot of beef jerky, and some of those, like, really did look like beef jerky. And the two of us were laughing our asses off, because I was like, oh, that's so gross. But yeah, so guys, join us again at 8:00 tomorrow. Marie Antoinette, again, have some shit. If nobody go out and grab anything, but, fix yourself a fancy cocktail, some champagne, have yourself some cake, have some beautiful things, and we will have a good time.
Even if it's Sprite and Ho-Hos.
Yeah,
you should
Sprite and
try.
Ho-Hos, yeah. I mean, it's quarantine, so, I mean, and I can't see you.
Yeah.
So you could say that you
Yeah.
have some Prosecco and some Cirque Soufflé.
Yes. Tie some toilet paper rolls to your hair.
Yeah.
Like
Oh my God, that would be awesome.
Yes.
That would. Oh,
That you've
Cubby
all been
maybe
hoarding.
just gave me an idea. Oh no. So guys, hi Carlos. How are you guys? You're just joining us now. Robert's joining us too. Neil, Carlos, and Robert watch tomorrow at 8:00 and watch the Marie Antoinette, Sophia Coppola, and the Norma Shear one. It's $2 on Amazon to rent it. So guys, just remember that nice is the new fierce, freedom is no fear, love is limitless, and we love you. And we'll see you later.
Have a good night, guys.